Hello everyone, welcome to Anime no Mi, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to talk about Luffy's grandfather, the hero of the Navy, the one and only Monkey D. Garp. Now Garp is a Marine with one of the best senses of justice. He does what he thinks is fair, regardless who gives him the orders. And even though he's a dedicated member of the Navy, his ideas don't always coincide with those of his leaders. Though Garp appears to possess a childlike mentality, when he acts, he is quickly able to change that personality into a serious stance when it comes to an important matter, demonstrating why he's considered one of the most powerful Marines ever. And even though Garp is loyal to the Marines, he may at some point decide to fight them, as now the orders are being given by Akainu, the one who took his grandson Ace's life and the former admiral that tried to take Luffy's life. Now, Garp may also be retired, but he's still fighting for the Navy, but that could change soon. In today's video, we're going to talk about the possibility of Garp leaving the Navy or even taking revenge on Akainu. We'll also talk about what could lead Garp to leave the Navy and also what changes would occur with this change in Garp's behavior. If you're new to the channel, we really appreciate your help by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It really means a lot and motivates us to make new videos. But for now, let's get into the video. To begin, the first time Garp was introduced in One Piece, he was shown to be very playful and have a personality that was quite jovial, being cheerful and maybe even being considered lazy. He was introduced in the story using a dog-shaped hood, but he really only wore it during that first appearance. Like Luffy, Garp has an incredibly strong personality, and in most situations he wears a big smile and never really seems to be afraid, even when facing a very strong opponent. During the Battle of Marineford, where the world government aimed to take the life of Garp's grandson Ace, Garp always stood by his grandson, and he stayed with Ace for most of the conflict, even though he was there to prevent enemy pirates from attacking and rescuing Ace, when in fact, it was the opposite. Garp wanted to be by his grandson's side for the last time, and for the first time, he rooted for the pirates to win and save Ace. Even though Ace was the son of his old rival, the Pirate King Goldie Roger, Garp never felt he should be held responsible for his father's actions. In fact, Garp had always said that children shouldn't carry the sins of their parents, so he said that Ace was not to blame for being born Roger's son and should be happy and allowed to live his own life. Garp never really saw the reason why the Navy would want to take Ace's life, even though he'd become a great pirate and was a commander in Whitebeard's crew. The main reason he was tried was because he was the son of the King of the Pirates, the real only descendant of Goldie Rogers. This, in Garp's point of view, really didn't make any sense, but he couldn't just let Ace escape because he's still a loyal Marine, was unfortunately found in an impasse. While the Marines and pirates were fighting, Garp sat next to Ace and told him that he really didn't have any sympathy for pirates. However, he did possess sympathy for his family members, demonstrating that he would do whatever was necessary to save his family. And at that moment, he didn't know what to do. He was just so focused on holding back his tears as he told Ace that he should have followed the destiny he always dreamed for the boy. He said that Ace really shouldn't have become a pirate. He said that maybe if Ace had become a Marine, there might have been a possibility that he could have gotten rid of the guilt for being the son of the Pirate King. But in the end, Ace never regretted having followed his dreams, even though in this confrontation, he was to lose his life. He said at the end, he was proud to be a pirate. When Luffy climbs onto the platform to save Ace, Garp stands up and stands in between the two to prevent this passage. Initially, Garp was determined to stop Luffy from saving him, but when looking at Luffy, he started to remember his past with his grandchildren. But he couldn't just leave the platform, so he let Luffy hit him with a punch, and this knocked Garp off the catwalk, allowing Luffy to rescue Ace. During much of the conflict going on in Marineford, Garp pretty much watched, acting only in a few solitary moments. However, when Akainu pierces Ace's chest with his lava punch, Garp's wrath awakens. Consumed by his fury, Garp headed towards Akainu to take his life, only being stopped by Sengoku, who appeared in front of him. But Garp wasn't going to hear any of it. Garp still went ahead to fight Akainu, and Sengoku ended up having to grab Garp's head and pushes it into the ground, immobilizing his body completely. Garp, still incredibly angry, tells Sengoku to hold him, because if he ever let him go, he would take Akainu's life. Because of this event, there is a possibility that Garp may end up having a confrontation with Akainu in the future, but not just to get revenge. Garp has always fulfilled his duties in the Navy, but he just does what he thinks is right, following his personal sense of justice. Whenever he thinks an order that he's been given is not something he thinks is fair, he rejects it, or even at the moment of fulfilling it, he hesitates, leaving this mission unfulfilled. We know that he hasn't accepted becoming an admiral because he doesn't want to protect the world's nobles. Instead, it seems like he believes in his son Dragon's mission and hopes that he can fulfill his goals. Garp's lack of desire to see battles, particularly battles to protect the world nobles, made him try to prevent the admirals from going to the Sabati archipelago. Fighting the world nobles would be one of the reasons for him to become an enemy of the Navy. Garp has great affection for his family, and this has been shown many times throughout the story of One Piece. Even though they all followed a path that Garp Garp would not want them to follow, as his son Dragon became the leader of the revolutionaries. He believes in Dragon's mission, but he still wanted him to join the Navy. If it was for his family, it could lead Garp to fighting Akainu in the future, a fight in which we'll see Garp fighting seriously with all his might. But again, that might only happen if Garp were to see something so awful it would reawaken his wrath. Consider the fight between Luffy and Akainu. Garp would have never let Akainu try to take the life of another one of his grandsons. Garp, even at an advanced age, would be able to put up a huge fight against Akainu, or any other admiral for that matter. With his haki and his incredible physical strength, he'd be able to face Akainu even with his devil fruit. During his heyday, Garp was able to defeat many powerful enemies and continues to be incredibly powerful to this day. Garp was even able to deliver an incredible punch to Marco, who was flying at high speed during the Battle of Marineford, even though Admiral Kizaru, who can move at the speed of light, had not even managed to land a hit on Marco. Garp has also teamed up with the King of the Pirates to defeat the great Captain Roxy Sebek, who in the past was a big problem for the Navy and other pirates because his crew showed no mercy on anyone who was in their way. Even the crew members themselves fought amongst themselves to decide who was the most powerful among them. Only few survived these clashes, as they were powerful pirates who considered themselves unstoppable. It's unknown if Roger and Garp fought just Sebek or any other member of his crew as well, but it's still quite an accomplishment for the both of them. After all, we know that in his time, Sebek could have been considered a Yonko for possessing a giant strength, having led 3 future Yonkos in his crew. In addition, one of Garp's greatest achievements is the fact that he faced Roger several times, battles in which Garp and the King of the Pirates each came close to losing their lives. And it was through these conflicts that a great respect was created between the two of them. This respect made Garp carry out Roger's last request, which was to protect his son Ace, and that's exactly what he did, taking Ace to a new place where he would be safer and more protected. With all that said, it demonstrates that Garp is still incredibly strong at his old age, and still has the capability of defeating powerful enemies depending on the circumstances. So, at certain times it could be favorable to Garp and his allies, or at other times it could be favorable to Akainu and the Navy, so it might depend a lot on what Oda intends to do with the manga's story. So Garp's victory could still be a possibility in the future. After all, we are talking about a moment when Garp decides to leave the Navy and face the world nobles. This would probably happen in the final battles of One Piece, where Garp believes that this may be the only way to save everyone he cares about. But with the story still unfolding, this is all still pretty unpredictable, and it could result even in Garp losing his life to Akainu in an attempt to save Luffy. Garp could end up giving up his life so that his grandson could survive an attack by Akainu, which would bring a moment of fury to our protagonist. And in that moment, Luffy would know that Akainu had taken 2 of the most important people out of his life. With that hatred, we could see Luffy, for the first time, fighting with everything he has to completely defeat Akainu. Now we know that Luffy doesn't fight to take an opponent's life, but this case could be very different. And as he is consumed by that fury of having lost another person important to him, who knows what could happen to Akainu. The Straw Hats might not even be able to stop him, and we could see an incredible fight between Akainu and Luffy, where only the strongest will survive. So in the end, there is this possibility of a final confrontation, a battle to change the world government or destroy it, a battle where not only Garp, but we could see Kobe and also Fujitora fighting the Navy and the world nobles. An event like this would totally change the world of One Piece. But for now, I want to know what you think about what we talked about today. Do you think Garp will be able to leave the Navy in the future and become an adversary of the group? Is there any possibility that Garp will confront Akainu until one of them loses their life during the combat? Leave your opinion in the comments below. We'd also like to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Comment on any themes or ideas you'd like to see in future videos. And also, if you've made it this far, leave us a like as you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in the next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.